Okay, got a couple housekeeping things here. You need some note-taking materials. We got a lot of information to cover today. Got a long way to go and a short time to get there. You're going to need a second device. Going to my website, turnarounddoctor.com. We are now in K of Real Leaders Wear Pink, which is knowledgeable. And we are coming around third on reviewing all of the 74 principles of real leadership. That being said, on your own, go ahead and inhale and exhale 3 times, 3 deep cleansing breaths to let the brain know we are ready for our morning mental workout. I am Dr. Donna Louise Thomas-Rodgers, daughter of Leslie Darnell Thomas, granddaughter of Arthur Jethro Evelyn II, and great-granddaughter of Levi Thomas. Good morning, Regina. And today we are going to be talking about be technically competent. So if you'd like to follow along with principles of real leadership, go to the website, turnarounddoctor.com, select the 74 principles of real leadership tab, and it will take you to the page. Scroll all the way down, and we are in knowledgeable. Number 1, be technically competent. Before we get into that, how did we get here? Neurogenesis, it's amazing. New neurons being created every single day if you want that to take place in your brain. Those neurons come together and create synapses, and then they create new neural pathways in your brain, which means you get to do things over and over and over again, and that is known as neuroplasticity. You take that, you combine it with the 74 principles of real leadership, as well as the theory of personal accountability, and you get neuropability. That's the brain's ability to wire itself to use the 74 principles of real leadership so that you can have unlimited neural pathways for you to be able to become your best and access your best day in and day out. All that magic happens in the frontal lobe, and today we're going to be using the executive function of your brain, which is commonly referred to as the CEO of the brain. So let's use that today. As I mentioned, every day that we go over a principle of real leadership, I started by doing an overview of all 74 principles of real leadership. If you'd like to see that information, go to the 74 principles of real leadership playlist on my YouTube channel. Scroll down to the bottom, work your way up to the top. In addition to that, I have reviewed every principle of real leadership to the level of detail where I'm defining every word in it so that you can understand it in all its essence and glory. With that being said, we are being technically competent today. If you have not done so, go ahead and vote in the poll question so that you can answer for yourself if you are technically competent. B is the first part in be technically competent, and that means to exist or to occur. The next word is technically, and technically relates to the method or manner of performing a task or skill. It relates to the method or manner of performing a task or a skill. And then competent, having the necessary ability, knowledge, or skill to do something successfully. Having the necessary ability, knowledge, or skill to do something successfully. When I was writing this book back in 2008, I still had a corporate job, and I had just completed my doctorate in organizational leadership, and technical competence comes from the military as well as my time at Frito-Lay. And what happens is if you get a job and you just do the job regular, then you're at 70%. And I coined that concept as the Chris Henry effect. And what happens is C's get degrees. One of my former students told me that concept, and now I'm running with it because it's actually true. As long as you get C's, you get the 2.0s, you can technically have a degree. I don't know if I want a Quizlet doctor working on me, but hey, go ahead and be regular. So the necessary ability, knowledge, or skill to do something, and that's why knowledgeable is so important. And people say knowledge is power. I say, yeah, no. Because it's the application of knowledge that gives you the power that you need. It's the application of knowledge that allows you to be technically competent. And so, knowing useless information, there are a bunch of people who are sports enthusiasts and they know a bunch of information about sports, but that's not their job. They have a totally different job that has nothing to do with sports, and they might be at their job, but they know a lot about sports. So, technical competence means that you have the ability and the skills to do something successfully. So, that means, are you a technically competent parent, a technically competent spouse, a technically competent best friend? It means that you are operating with the skills and the ability and the information, the knowledge in order to be at your best, because be the best is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So it's a lot of people like, I'm good at my job. Okay. And then what? And all that shit just falls apart after you leave the parking lot or you turn your computer off. Is that what happens? What those skills are actually transferable. If you can be best over here, you can be best over here as well. So once you become technically competent and proficient in one area or skill, the brain knows how to become skilled. You then use, here she is. Good morning, Kevin. You then use all of that for everything else. So my book says be the best, and it's in one area, then the next area, then the next area, then the next area, then the next area. And I have a whole playlist on YouTube that says I didn't sign up for that. So anything that you say yes to, you need to be technically competent in. I'm going to say that again. Anything that you said yes to, you need to be technically competent in. That means you need to have the knowledge, the skills, and the ability to be successful at it, or don't do it. If you are not going to put forth your best effort, tell people no. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put forth my best effort. I'm not going to become technically competent in that. So the answer is no. Now, that's the reason why technical competence is number one in knowledgeable, because it doesn't matter. If you're not going to use technical competence, then you're never going to be knowledgeable. You're not going to apply it, and it's not going to lead you to your best. So no technical competence, no applied knowledge, no best. All right, so what does it mean to be technically competent? It means having the knowledge, skills, and abilities to effectively perform tasks, skills, and solve problems within a specific field or profession or personally. So it means that you have the abilities to effectively perform the task that needs to be performed. You have the skills to actually do it. You now have to be able to solve what it is that you are working on. So it's not so much, my daughter, as you know, has a furniture assembly business, and she's moderately priced compared to everybody else in the industry. She sits right there in the middle, which is why we work all the doggone time. And so what happens is, all of the furniture companies tell you you can DIY it. They give you some bullshit ass tools in the box, that fucking Allen wrench that you ain't gonna have. You're gonna be like this by the time you put that bed together. And they say, here's everything you need. And here's a QR code. Matter of fact, we got a 7-year-old ass video on YouTube that ain't even the product that you ordered, but you can do it yourself. And the boxes are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And so what happens is we have what's called in progress projects. She does. And so that means you started it, but you didn't have the technical competence to put it together correctly. So they send pictures like, here. See, what had happened was when some people say we took it out the box, it was overwhelming. I got to step one and I'm done. So then she comes in now with her technical competence and her third row of her vehicle full of shit that she might need in the event that it goes left, because people are not technically competent to put stuff together. And now she has the ability to do it. And what we find ourselves with definitely in all of the month of May, more people are less technically competent, and we are fixing more and more things at the customer level. So if you do not have the ability to do it, either get the ability to do it or don't. I didn't know about the brain this time last year, and now I have to study the brain to the point where right now I even have my book from the library, and this is backwards for y'all, but it's How the Brain Works, and it is a textbook, and it is all about how the brain works, because I need to be technically competent in neuropability, which means I need to be technically competent in how the brain actually works. So that's what technical competence actually means. It involves both theoretical understanding and practical application. So anytime you've done something and you've heard, well, in theory, that's how it's going to work, but how do you make that actually work in practical application? And I chat GPT'd myself the other day, and they said that my methods are pragmatic, which means that I have practical application to what I'm saying. I'm not telling you, here are the 74 principles of real leadership in theory. And then you go, this bullshit don't work. And this ain't how you handle conflict when it occurs. I got this listening, this in theory, listening works, but how am I going to do this every doggone day? So it has to be theoretical and practical. So this is what you learned in the book, and this is how you can apply it. So not only can I say that the amygdala is located in the temporal lobe in the limbic system, and it does fight, flight, freeze, or appease. I can tell you when somebody get ready to hijack your amygdala and what it looks like and feels like, so you can take a synapse and go right on, take care of your ass up to the frontal lobe and sit in your executive function and your inhibition control and say, no, I think not. I think not. Now, last year, could I have told you this? No. Has anybody else told you this? To my knowledge, no. People just say it's fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight. We've been hearing that forever, but nobody said, hey, you ain't got to fight or flight. Negativity bias is the reason why we keep waking up every day in fight or flight mode. So I had to take the theory and put it in practical application for me to now have on brain t-shirts and a brain background for you to be sitting there saying, no, I will not be having amygdala hijacking today. It's not on my personal menu. So go over there with that unaccountable nonsense. It's very important that anything that you get ready to do, I got the technical competence and the skills, and you got to put in the work. So here are some methods or reasons for you to be able to have technical competence. So now what you need, knowledge and tools and systems. So knowledge and tools and systems. When my daughter started her business, she had some knowledge and a couple tools and no systems. 4 years later, all of that is in place thanks to yours truly. Okay, you understand how to use the equipment, the software, the systems related to your field. You understand how to use the equipment, the software, the systems related to your field. When I talk about Frito-Lay, I talk about the 14 weeks that I had an onboarding resource onboarding training with this big ass 3-inch binder and all these tabs and everything. And every week we had to report out to the leadership team to tell them what we learned. And that's why I know how raw materials are brought into a system, turned into finished goods, sold in the marketplace, everything. I could tell you, I could look at an end cap, tell you what's happening on that end cap, why this product is at the top, at the bottom. If they had a, dang it, I can't think of the part. A merchandiser come in on the weekend. If they had a merchandiser come in on the weekend and fluff the products up. Michael Barron, what brings you here disrupting my learning environment this morning if you still decided that you're going to be here? Why are you here this morning interrupting? Why are you here interrupting me this morning? Why are you here? The rest of us know why we're here. Why are you being disruptive this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you're located physically? Why are you here? Good. Knowledge and tools and systems. You understand how to use the equipment, the software, the systems related to your field. Number 2, mastery of processes and procedures. Mastery of processes and procedures. And so you can follow standing operating procedures. You can follow standing operating procedures, technical manuals, and protocols to complete tasks accurately and efficiently. And I say that when I was researching this, it says standard operating procedures, but standard operating procedures stop. This is it, and it doesn't change. When you have standing operating procedures, that means that they're consistently being updated. And so you want to follow those. When you master those, Now you will be able to apply that knowledge, because that's the theory, and then you'll be able to put it in practical applications. And so when I was in the military, I was always quoting regulations, ARs, FMs, and everything else, Uniform Code of Military Justice and everything. When I got to Frito-Lay, same thing. And now my standing operating procedures are the theory of personal accountability and the 74 principles of real leadership. When you master that, what happens is you create those new neural pathways, and then you continue to strengthen them because you implement them on the daily basis, and that's how you become technically competent. Number 3 is problem solving ability. Your problem solving ability resides in the frontal lobe, and that's where your executive function, your working memory brings information in, tells you what to do with it. And so you need to have problem solving abilities if you are going to be technically competent. As I mentioned, the month of May was filled with manufacturing defects coming behind people who didn't know what they were doing. And so when you can problem solve, you have the ability to make sure that your technical competence is implemented effectively. So you can troubleshoot issues, you can find root causes, and implement appropriate solutions without constant supervision. So you have the ability. When I worked at Frito-Lay, we had the process called root cause analysis, where you ask the question why 5 times, and usually between 3 and 4, you actually find out why the problem exists. Then you can develop a solution, and then you can solve the problem effectively and efficiently, and hopefully fix it for good. Number 4 is ongoing learning. So technical fields and industries evolve. We are now seeing each other in Jetson-like environments. From the Flintstones to the Jetsons, you all can see me because of technology, because of the internet. The evolution of smartphones and apps and everything else allows us to be able to be where we are and still, in the same time, be here with me, hearing what I am saying. So being competent means staying up to date with new tools, techniques, and technologies through training, certifications, or experiences. I am now using ChatGPT. I'm now using Grok, because me searching on the internet, going to the library, the old ways of getting information is not enough. And it needs to be customized, because I have specific questions, because everything that I'm asking is related to the principles of real leadership, neuropability, and how the brain actually functions. So I've had to update where I get my information from. Number 5 is precision and accuracy. You consistently produce work that meets standards with attention to detail and minimal errors. So precision and accuracy. You consistently produce work that meets standards with attention to detail and minimal effort. And so Nola doesn't like this, but when she first started, I would put my hand over the screws and say, tap that again, so that it will be flush, because Steve Jobs' father was a carpenter, and when they first started making computers, they'd sign on the inside of the computer. They thought it was stupid. They were like, why would you do this? And nobody's going to see it. And he said, we know it's there. So his father, whenever he made dressers or cabinets, he still painted the back. Most of us know, you look at the back of your dresser, unless it was custom made, it's not painted, because people are like, you put that shit against the wall. Why would we waste the paint? But it's the accuracy and the detail. And so you want to continue to do training, certifications, or have more experience, which is why I'm considering going back to school to get a certification in neuroscience. I'm vacillating back and forth for a particular reason, but we will see how that goes. But training, experience, I'm listening to people, I'm studying, and continuously making sure that I am learning. I'm coming up on good morning, Lola. I'm coming up on June 25th. Will be my 15th year being away from Frito-Lay. That's when I'm launching my subscriptions on both TikTok and not YouTube, Instagram. So I will have a point, because when I left, people thought I wasn't going to be successful. They thought, anyway. And so I look back over these 15 years and go, yeah, I see y'all still putting chips on the truck. That would have worked out well for me. It wouldn't have. But again, learning and continuously growing and developing. And I see how much their working memory is and how much they've atrophied it. And my working memory got like 17 jobs. So like, for real. Okay. So number 5, again, is precision and accuracy. And your work consistently produces works that meets the standards with attention to detail with minimal errors. That means that you have very few errors. You have very few manufactured defects. Very few. And then number 6 is communication of technical information. Communication of technical information. So you can explain complex concepts clearly to both technical and non-technical audience, and especially important skills in leadership roles. So what happens is I can take that, and I've sent some of you have, Kevin has experienced it too, and yeah, Regina too. You've seen very technically savvy people and they have a lot of technical jargon and it sounds really good, but how do you implement it? And that's the thing, is that the neuroscientist can tell you all the technical part. The psychiatrist can say, well, if your brain is broke, we got this prescription. But this middle, how do we use the brain when ain't shit wrong with it, or I don't want to be on medication? The normal brain, how does it get implemented and used on the daily basis? These two groups can't tell you, which is why I'm telling you there are a few people who can tell you somewhat. So I know if you say Jim Quick and a couple other people, I get it. But overall, every day to get it down to the smallest common denominator so that every common person can understand it too. That's how you know that you are communicating well, because you can sit at the high levels and talk to the neuroscientist, or you can sit with 13-year-old who just got a new brain and say, hey, it's going to be 12 years before this motherfucker start working right. But in the interim, I got something for you. So those are the 6 dialed down how to be technically competent: knowledge of tools and systems, mastery of processes and procedures, problem solving ability, ongoing learning, precision and accuracy, and then communication of technical information. So that's the expanded definition of be technically competent. Now we're going to get into why it's challenging for people to be technically competent, and then how you can be technically competent. So the question that I posed to the group, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and answer the poll questions. And my question to you is, why do you believe it's challenging for people to be technically competent? And remember, ... brain or something, so that I know that you are here and you're going to answer the question before I move on. Good morning, Graham. And just to make sure, is Graham your first name or your last name? I like using people's, or the name that they prefer to be called by. So is that what you would prefer that I use? The question is, and I put it's clear to me because I got the answers. The question is, why is it challenging for people to be technically competent? It's my last name. My first name is Jessica, and I find it easier to say Graham instead of Jessica. Is that what you're saying? At NOLA, you do know it's you and me that never do the ... Starting today, we're going to do better. Thank you for that recognition, Kevin. I do value and appreciate it. Because they are lazy. Okay. Yes, ma'am. And so, Jessica, just to make sure, you prefer me to use Graham instead of Jessica. You could do a thumbs up for me, or mm-hmm. And that is what I will do. And welcome. My initial answer was because they ain't shit. The Didi in me was like, yeah, because they lazy. You know what I'm saying? Like my offspring said. But no, I couldn't do on this one because I didn't know the question. But going forward, I got it. Okay. Regina, I think people achieve a certain functional skill level, become comfortable there, settle, and don't want to push themselves. Pushing yourself takes effort. That is actually one of my answers. Okay, thank you, Jessica. I shall. I appreciate that follow up. Yes, Regina, I believe that that is one of my answers. Yes, if I'm not mistaken. Had a lot of note taking yesterday, and I had to mop the whole downstairs. It's not big, but whew, you switch the carpet to flooring. We did it years ago, and it's very light, and everything shows up on it. So I had to scrub, sweep, and swift, and yeah. So my hand is hurting now. They don't want to dedicate the time to learn. Absolutely. All right. Those are two answers that I believe we will cover. Lazy is not on there, Nola. It might be, but we shall see. Okay. So several reasons are why people don't want to become technically competent, many of which relate to the complexity of the subject matter, the pace of change, or individual motivation or opportunity. And I left motivation there because people don't want to do it. I'm not going to say empowerment in that instance. So here are the main challenges. Number one, rapid technological advancement. When I used to go to CES, one year I went and we were sitting in a meeting at Red Flint. Unfortunately, Red Flint didn't make it, but they were talking about, the people on the panel were saying, because we needed to make Las Vegas a smart city because people were starting to move here and we didn't have the infrastructure. So the roads weren't wide enough because they used to call it the Mississippi of the West. You had the Strip, you had a couple of neighborhoods outside of that, and that was that. But it's growing and expanding, all of the surrounding cities as well. And so what they said is we have smart cars and dumb roads. That's what they said way back then. And so now I'm saying we have smart technology and not so smart people. So the rapid technological advancements. So the challenge is technology evolves quickly. What's cutting edge today may be obsolete tomorrow. And that's Moore's law, which means every 18 months, technology improves. Every 18 months. So if you think about back in the day when computers used to take up a whole room, if you watch Hidden Figures, the IBM, and my mother used to work in the computer room that damn big. It was cold as hell in there. So it's huge. And now we got tablets. Okay, and not the ones that Moses brought the 10 Commandments down on. Okay, so the results are people have to constantly learn and adapt, which requires time, energy, brain capacity, and resources. And that's what Regina said, is that I learned this and I ain't learning no new shit. I don't have no new neural pathways. I'm not doing neuroplasticity, and my working memory is unemployed. Now, that's number one. Number two, complexity of knowledge. So complexity of knowledge. So the challenge is technical fields and industries often involve dense, complex concepts that take time and effort to master. If you would like to take a nap, just read this book. Just start. Just open it up. And even though it's pretty cool and it's got all these drawings in it and this is that way and kind of can't see because of the background. But yeah, so look at this. Look at that right there. Now, y'all know y'all want to read that. Okay. I might read it to you. So you want to see what that is. You like, ooh, look at that. All them damn graphics in that tiny ass font. Sign me up. No, that's not. It's a lot. Okay. So the results are, without proper instruction or study habits, people may feel overwhelmed and frustrated. When I was in college, I had to develop study habits. When you major in public law and government, that's a mix of, and Kevin, you are a criminal justice major, that's a mix of criminal justice and political science together, stirred up. I don't know why I picked that. But anyway, most people had a political science degree back there or criminal justice. I'm like, no. Let me double down. I know my ass can't read, so I'm going to do nothing but read it. So if you don't have good study habits and you don't have a way, that's why, listen, right here, yellow highlighter, black ink, and doggone red ink pen, been around since the 90s, baby. This is how I learn. And Jessica, you said that's me, overwhelmed and intimidated at times. Exactly. And so I developed, if I didn't have this is why I have so many notebooks. Here you go. Wait, I need my notebooks. I'm about to learn. Let me go grab my stuff. Spiral notebook, composition notebook. I'm old school. If you want me to learn it, it's going to have to be in this format. So you need good study habits, or you're going to have cognitive overload, and then you're going to be overwhelmed. Your amygdala is going to get hijacked if you're going to seek safety and never learn what you need to learn. Number three is lack of access of quality training. Lack of access to quality training. When I stopped working with my sister, I developed a 6 weeks business strategy course because new business owners and existing business owners, everything was raggedy as hell and it wasn't working. So even the event that I was a guest speaker at, BOWD, was like, that's not even a good program either. And so I sat down and said, what do entrepreneurs actually need? What information do they actually need? Which is why I recommend the E-Myth Revisited. And now you can have actual training. So the challenge is not everyone has access to good educators, mentors, or training programs. Even though the internet is flooded with experts and thought leaders and experts and coaches and everything else, they pick a little tiny thing and they say, okay, so this Sharpie, I'm going to teach you how to use this Sharpie. Buy my program to teach you all the benefits of using this Sharpie. And you're going to use this Sharpie every time you need to write something down. Here you go. And here you go. Now, I need these 4 things to learn. So if I got to go and listen to you talk for that, use the Sharpie, listen to you talk for you to use the red pen, you talk for you to use the black pen, and you to talk to tell me how to use a spiral notebook, and then another person to tell me how to write the notes, and another person to tell me how to study the notes, fuck that. I'm not learning it. It's not going to happen. So what happens is it's a poor foundational knowledge base, and it leads it to gaps of understanding, even as people try to advance. You don't know what you don't know, and the people that say they do know don't know either. So now y'all all sitting there not knowing. Yes, and Jessica says I had to learn my study styles, habits, and now it's just excuses. So that's the honest answer. And so that's that. So you may want to have the ability. And I go back now because I kept all my notebooks. Because remember, I've been at this entrepreneur learning leadership path since 2008. And y'all don't want to know how many meetings I've sat in. I would say several, it might be 1,000. And I'm not even exaggerating. By the time I do meetups, meet and greets, networking meetings, and sit down with this person, conference calls, and all of that over the years. And I had to go find the information on my own. So inadequate, number 4 is inadequate hands-on experience. Inadequate hands-on experience. So the challenge is the technical skills often require practice and not just theory. Practice and not just theory. So Nola had a bunch of appointments before she got to the level of competence that she's currently at. I messed up a lot of cadets in JROTC trying to find my leadership style. Some casualties of war. Forgive me, Jesus. And then the result is, without real-world application, people struggle to translate knowledge into competence. In today's workforce, you don't have the ability to make mistakes. There is no 16 weeks, 14, 16 weeks of onboarding for resources. That's what they call them at Frito-Lay, for you to learn how to do anything. You're supposed to come already. I look at the jobs on LinkedIn. I'm like, well, damn, what y'all gonna do? If this one person got to do all this, and that's why I said job descriptions is all the things people don't want to do and don't know how to do. Bam, here goes a job. VP of everything is what you end up being, because people can't take that practical application and turn it, that theory and turn it into practical application. I've mentioned this before. I am a continuous improvement master trainer at Frito-Lay. And so they would have things, this is how you do this. And I would say, okay, in theory, that's how that works. But you know how when you go on line 14 and you got to do this, and then Rondo comes over, does this, or you know how you're getting ready to pull and you go up in the trailer and doggone the plate, I can't think of the doggone thing. They drive into the dock plate, the lift gate. That's on the back. Anyway, the plate that you have to drive over to get the pallet into the back of the trailer. If that's something wrong, how do you do it technically? Because that sounds right, but each plant is different. So being able to say this is theory and this is how you use that theory. And when you don't have an educator that can actually do that, you end up in classes teaching you how to use a yellow highlighter. All right. Number 5 is fear of failure or making mistakes. Today's world, everything has to be perfect. Can't make not and damn mistake. Why not? I flub. I got mistakes in my book, typos and everything else. I have doggone playlists with stuff that's wrong, grammatical errors, because it's progress, not perfection. I got New York Times bestseller books with typos in it, and they literally had editors edit the book, and it still will be 1 to 3 typos. So it happens because it's human error. So the challenge is technical work often requires trial and error, which can be intimidating. And when Nola first started out, I was like, don't put nothing on the wall, don't put nothing on the wall, don't put this yet, start putting shit in the walls. Okay, got it. Now we need stud finders, and anybody that we have come across people with stud finders that cost $300-400. At the end of the day, stud buddy, you can have them. She has 4 different stud finders, and guess what? Sometimes you just can't find a stud because it wasn't where it was supposed to be in the first place because the construction people didn't do what they were supposed to do. Now you're sitting there like, but you still have to know what to do when you can't find a stud. If you do find a stud, if it's a metal stud, if it's a wood stud, what hardware to use based upon the type of wall, what screws to use. So that's all technical competence that NOLA had to develop based upon trial and error, being at an appointment. Somebody say, hey, you know how to do this? Hey, can you put this up on the wall? These mirrors weigh 150 pounds, but can y'all put them up? Like neither one of us weigh 150 pounds. Sure, we'll put these heavy ass mirrors up in your home salon, no problem. So the technical work often requires trial and error, which can be intimidating. And so the results are, as you were saying, Jessica, some avoid practicing or asking questions, which slows development down because you just start making excuses. If I didn't teach myself how to read, I don't know where I would be. I definitely wouldn't be Dr. Donna. You got to read a bunch of shit to get to a damn doctorate. Get the research alone to take your ass out. So now you're just like, yeah, I'm okay. I don't need to know how to do it. I really wasn't interested in that anyway. Number 6 is a poor attitude or lack of empowerment. A poor attitude or lack of empowerment. So the challenge is technical learning and skill development can be tedious. I just showed y'all how the brain works. This shit is tedious as hell, especially when you don't see its immediate relevance. You start college 4 to 5 years later, you're done. And if you don't see results, you're like, yeah, this is going to take too long. Fuck this. I'm not staying here. I got to go do something else. And so the result is a lack of effort or discipline prevents them from reaching competence. And so the excuses show up, the excuses show up, which is a reason wrapped in an excuse. And now you just say, yeah, man, ain't nobody got time for all that shit. Ain't nobody got time for all that. They trying to make you, you know what I'm saying? They actually want you to read the book and then don't use ChatGPT to tell people what you learned. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. So if you're not empowered, if you can't understand why. So a lot of people that's still working for Frito-Lay, I guarantee you, people 20, 30 years, you start asking them about C.E. Doolin and Herman Lay and all these things. They're like, no, but I just work in packaging. Or no. I work at Plano. I'm just at the headquarters. And so I do research and development, but ain't nobody trying to hear the history. Why not? Why wouldn't you want to know why this company is still around since the 1940s? They're looking at about 80 years in now. Why wouldn't you want to know that? That's absurd. Why would you sign up to do something when you don't know the history of what it is that you're doing? So when Nola started doing her business, I started researching a bunch of stuff. I know what drywall is and sheetrock and brick and stucco and all kind of stuff. And sometimes I get the technical parts messed up, but I know way more than I did 4 years ago. And if you read my book, you'll know that I had no assembly required. Like if it had to be put together, fuck that. I'm not doing that. So learning, I'm more technically competent than I was before. And because of that, I can help her more because of what I already brought to the party. So the number 7 is overconfidence and complacency. Overconfidence and complacency. And this is what you said too, Regina. So the challenge is some people believe they know enough and stop learning. I already got that. I got my bachelor's degree in computer science in 1986. Really? The languages have changed and everything else has changed, but you think you can code now? Okay, cool. And the results are they fall behind as the standards or technology or industries change. And now the world is going to hell in a handbasket. They got all this stuff and we just need to have it kept it the way it was. We were on analog. If we didn't switch to digital, if we didn't switch to high fiber optics, ain't no 5G, ain't none of that. We used to have to dial up, plug the doggone computer into an Ethernet, into the wall, take the phone off, and then send a fax. Or then, and now you got to do AOL in order. And that shit was slow as hell. You logging on. You 2 hours trying to send an email, and now you can send an email from your phone. So overconfidence, some people believe they know enough. And a lot of my peers, now that we're in our 50s, their information is old as shit. Their kids are as old as the information that they have. And that's not good. Number 8 is inconsistent standards. So the challenge is different environments may have different expectations of what competence looks like. And that's what I found out at Frito-Lay. So if you go from the Orlando plant to they used to have the Allen Park plant in Michigan, and then you go down to a distribution center in Birmingham, and you can even go to 3 different distribution centers in the same region, and it's going to be totally different. The standards are going to be different. So that will make it so your technical competence isn't where it needs to be. That's why I always stuck with the manuals, always stuck with the standing operating procedures, because I'm like, this is how it was designed. This is reference products. This is what us the standard of excellence looks like. So when people are like, no, that's not how it goes. Yeah, it is. Look, on page 17, right here, paragraph B. This is what we need to be doing. Lean Six Sigma, place for everything, and everything's in its place. So the results are someone may be considered competent in one setting, but not in another setting. And that happens all the time. So in review, the reasons why people find it challenging to be technically competent is number one, rapid technology advancements. Number two, complexity of knowledge. Number three, lack of access or to quality training. Number four, inadequate hands-on experience. Number five, fear of failure or making mistakes. Number six, poor attitude or lack of empowerment. Number seven, overconfidence and complacency. And number eight, inconsistent standards. Now, I know you all have been sitting on the edge of your seat and you want to know how to become technically competent. I'm glad you asked, so I'm going to tell you. Becoming technically competent is a deliberate process that combines learning, patience, and continuous improvement. And if I need to repeat one of the reasons why people are not technically competent, go ahead and dot me and let me know. And I will review the one that you may have missed because I am talking quite fast today. Becoming technically competent is a deliberate process that combines learning, patience, and continuous improvement. Hence, me becoming a CIMT at Frito-Lay was actually a great decision because now I understand the need to be continuously improving. So way back in 2003, 2004 time frame, no, it was walking. So yeah, 2003 time frame, definitely understand the benefits of continuous improvement. That was almost 22 years ago because it was the fall of 2003, November. All right, so number one, how to become technically competent. Build a strong knowledge foundation. Build a strong knowledge foundation. How do you do that? I'm glad you asked, Jessica. Study the basics. Study the basics. Study the basics. Like, wow, really? Yeah. So, learn the core concepts, the terms, and the principles of your field. Don't skip the fundamentals. If this were sports and it was basketball, free throws win games. Layups win games. Blocking and boxing out when someone is at the free throw line helps you to win games. The fundamentals actually work. So study the basics. 2 + 2 is 4. The basic math. All those basic math principles that we learned in elementary schools are what we use day to day in our life. I still have not used the Pythagorean theorem yet. So, and maybe it's the industry that I chose, but I do have to add things up all the doggone time. I still need to know how to tell time. Noah still needs to know how to measure and convert metric to standard so that those basic concepts from elementary school still work. And you want to use reputable sources. So you want to use manuals, textbook, online courses, or training programs specific to your area. And it's hard, and I mentioned that because how do you know that this program works? I'm going to tell you how you know. It won't look like anybody else's. There will not be, it used to be $5,000 and now it's $97 for limited time only. It will not have people saying, and I've used the program and it really works. There will, if you go to my website, ain't an testimonial nowhere because that's what people do. They set up their programs, they get people at the conference. It was so much fun. I can't wait till next year. Go! And then you're like, ooh, that must have worked. And they have that one person that actually made $1 million and that person is seen everywhere. So, yep, I did it. I used it. And now my business, they're not telling you the person already was sitting at 800,000 when they got there. So it's easy to get to $1 million when you at 800,000 in. So those appear to be with a bright lights. Come on and go to the conference. Yeah, yeah, yeah. People on stage. Got a bunch of celebrities there, bunch of other people. So people get together for their conferences and they say, hey man, I'm having a conference. You coming? I'm gonna come to yours. You come to mine. Sure. All right, cool. Because we need some people in this room. We need a breakout room. We need to do all that. You sometimes have to pay to be on the stage with those people telling you how great and wonderful your program is. Backroom sales. Sometimes you do it for free, but I come if you let me do backroom sales. So yeah, it's a whole thing. In case y'all didn't know that. A whole vibe. It's a vibe. So really, It's old school. Go back to the basics. That one person, that old head that's sitting there looking like Einstein, that's just on TikTok saying, "Baby, let me tell you. All right, this is how math is. Let me do that." Khan Academy, the organic chemistry person, and the other person that Nola was telling me about, it's that nice little small bakery that's just been in business forever. They can tell you how to run a business better than some of these new businesses because they've been around for 1,000 years. So make sure that it's reputable sources. And for me, every time I hear about somebody, I go straight to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is going to tell you if that nice little ad and everything that you see is actually real, for real, for real. You can chat GPT them now, and it'll tell you what's out there. Okay, so number 2, and that was use reputable sources if you're going to learn. So this boring book from the doggone Windmill Library, definitely reputable because, yeah, who's... Okay, so number 2 is get hands-on experience. Hands-on, got to touch it. Got to be able to touch it, okay? So practice regularly. That's why Nola she does appointments 6 days a week to get that time in, that 10,000 hours in. So technical skills improve with repetition. Apply what you learn in real or simulated environments. In the military, we're always simulating something, simulating war. So when it's time to go do whatever you got to do, you're ready. It's part of your muscle memory, and you just boom, bada bing, and make stuff happen and hopefully get back to the house and come back in one piece. So practice regularly. So take on tasks. Volunteer for projects or responsibility that challenge you to use and grow your skills. Volunteer for projects or responsibility that challenge you to use and grow your skills. If you look at my LinkedIn and there's some stuff, Noah's probably going to yell at me right now. Some more shit I forgot that I got to put on there. What else? I said 80%. That's why I said it's 80% because half this stuff I can't remember. The 20% escapes me at times. So anyway, I'm always volunteering. When I was in the Army, I went to chem school. I went to EO training, master gunner training, military, how to defend against terrorism on military installations, all kinds. I'll go. Frito-Lay, a Move Smart trainer, PBT, CIMT, DOT certification, so I could go and do DOT audits in the company. Me. That's why I have so much technical competence, because once you're certified, you know it. That makes you bona fide, and now you can go do big shit. So yes, me volunteering at the Urban Chamber with all the emotional damage that they caused, I got so much information from that. I was in so many more rooms than I would have ever been in had I just been a business owner and a member of the organization. I would have just went to the events that they had. I was planning the events that people went to. That's what I was never going to be in a room with a doggone South African dignitary. That wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to be in these meetings with the Ex-Import Bank and the DEC and all of these other organizations here. That wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to be in a corporate circle saying, "Hey, what y'all need, MGM? Oh, y'all need AC people? Yeah, no problem. I got that. What day y'all want to meet?" So volunteering gets you all of that technical skills that you need. Number 3 is ask questions and seek feedback. Ask questions and seek feedback. And we know, if you don't know, ask is one of the 74 principles of real leadership, and solicit feedback. So we are aligned here. So you learn from others. When you ask knowledgeable questions to peers, mentors, and educators or leaders, they will give you guidance when you ask for real people doing real shit. So do not ask somebody that don't know. Don't go to that family member that everybody go to. Don't go to that person at work that just been there for 100 years. You want people who actually have technical competence. You're asking them. And then when you ask them about what you're doing, you're asking for feedback. You want them to ensure that you don't take the feedback personally. Because that's what I used to do when I first got to Frito-Lay, and when I was in the Army, I'm like, "Oh, so you're criticizing me?" No, I'm about ready to fight, because I felt like my amygdala was hijacked, and that's when I had to learn the difference between feedback and criticism. Because prior to that, all I got was criticism, and I didn't know the difference. So you don't take the feedback personally, because feedback is focused on your performance or your behavior so that you can improve to become your best. So you use it to correct the mistakes and sharpen your abilities. Leon Lotto told me about the pause and told me to slow down when speaking. Today, I know I'm speaking at a rapid pace, but I want to give you all this information and attempt to finish the live on time. So I understand this is a personal choice that I've made. You have the ability to go back or say, "I missed that, Dr. Donna, say it again," and I can repeat what I'm saying. So you want the feedback. So if the feedback is for you to improve your performance or your behavior. Number 4 is stay current. Stay current. Your working memory still needs to be working as long as you are here. So if you retire and you sit down and you look up and 15 years have passed and you don't know what's taking place, you didn't stay current. Don't stay current watching the news. Stay current on what's happening in the world and be part of what's taking place in the world. So technology and best practices evolve. So attend refresher courses, read updates, or take certifications. You have to stay current in what's taking place. People in my industry, in the leadership industry, if you look at their websites without some marketing, the neuroscientist website is a little, and their social media is, here go the information. It's not sexy. It's not popping. They're way back when I was at the chamber helping them between 2015 and 2017. I was the only one on Snapchat. They were still on Facebook. Yeah, you know, Dr. Donna over there on Snapchat with the young folks over there. I am. And now I still use Snapchat lenses and everything today. So then you want to also be curious. So stay interested in what's new and why it matters. That's why I finally started using Chat GPT for myself and Grok, because now I'm like, okay, that's why my Jiffy page is at 17.5 billion views. I thought Jiffy was stupid. I thought X was stupid. I thought Snapchat was stupid. And then I was like, oh no, I need to be using all of this. Number 5. Study mistakes and failures. So study your mistakes and your failures because you're going to learn what didn't work and why it didn't work. Because number 1 rule is don't do anything without a strategy. So you're really looking at where did your strategy go left. So when something goes wrong, analyze why. This builds your problem solving skills and a deeper understanding of what went wrong. I was in some of the worst platoons and parts of Frito-Lay. So my problem solving skills is magnifique. I'm here to tell you. I'm like, I can look at the shit show and be like, okay, do that. And even when I can't put something together like Nola can, there will be a problem. And then we'll look at it and then I'll say, turn that the other way. Flip it. Push this part in. And bam, problem solved. Now, can I put the rest of that shit together? Absolutely not. I do drawers and I do a couple shelving things and hold and stuff and all of that because that's not my area of expertise. But I am very good at problem solving. And they recommend using after action reviews. And that comes from the military. So you want to look at what did we do, what was supposed to happen, what actually happened, and what can we do better? What can we do to improve your performance? All right, number 6. And can somebody just type ... or something just so I know that the chat is enabled because we're coming around third and you need to be able to answer your final 2 questions for the day. So number 6, develop related soft skills. Develop related soft skills. Communicate effectively. Thank you, Jessica. Communicate effectively. So explaining technical competence helps, thank you, Nola, as well, helps solidify your own understanding. So I learn by teaching you all. I'm learning, thank you, Regina. I'm learning about the brain because I'm teaching you about the brain. So I am able to communicate effectively what's happening because I have to communicate effectively to you for you to be able to use your brain. And you want to stay disciplined. Technical competence requires consistency, not shortcuts. And that's where everybody exit the chat. Every day, Dr. Donna? Every day. NOLA has over 2,200 projects. And when we tell that to people, they're like, oh my God. How? When we first looked at the people, we looked at the best on TaskRabbit and how many projects they had and how long they were on and all of that. And then we said benchmark, got to pass them. And then the 5-star reviews was an added bonus because we never asked anybody for a review, ever, never will. That's a person's own personal preference. So it's like, hey, can I get 5-star review? You know what I'm saying? I need my numbers up. No, we're not doing that. You thought the service was great, bad, middle, mediocre, whatever. That's your choice. And you can just tell us what to do, and then she will improve that if it actually is value added. So communicating effectively allows you to be able to have the skill set that you need, and you have to do it. I recommend people go to Toastmasters. I believe that every adult needs to go to Toastmasters just so that they can learn how to communicate effectively. People say that it's a public speaking. It's not. It's communication and leadership. It really is, and it helps you to do both. Number 7 is set personal standards. And we know that one of the 74 principles of real leadership is to set and maintain high standards. So you want to aim for mastery. And I know that's saying a jack of all trades and a master of none. That's some bullshit. I have mastered a lot of doggone skills. So it is possible. What can makes the impossible possible as well. So don't settle for good enough. I have a quote, good enough never is. It never is. It's good enough. You want the doctor working on your family member for a pulmonary embolism to be good enough? Yeah, they good enough. All right. Go ahead, Doc. Do what you do. Do good enough. Hell no. You don't want the air traffic controllers being good enough and now they done talked and they looking at TikTok videos and aircrafts are falling out the sky. You don't want it for them, so why are you accepting it for yourself? I don't want to be on the receiving end of somebody's good enough. If I just came on here and be like, yeah, so what y'all want me to talk about today? And then I want y'all to be here every day. Subscribe, join, click, ding, bing, ding. And then we ain't talking about shit. Well, let me see what's happening on TikTok. Did y'all see this video? Look at this right here. They said it's so funny. No, you're not going to stick around for that. And I wouldn't expect you to. So strive for mastery. Be the best. Neuropability is to take you to your best. And hold yourself personally accountable. And Nola didn't initially like it. Sometimes I get on her nerves too, but I don't care because people are paying for a 5-star service. So double check your work. Be detailed oriented and take pride in your work. Test fit while the holes are little. Sometimes we can't because the shit is too heavy, but when you can, it's easier to make an adjustment when it's less than the pinky tip size instead of putting big ass heavy hardware in there and now you got all these fucking holes in the wall. So double check your work, be detailed oriented, and take pride in your work. I'm very detail oriented. I'm not getting on these lives and not selecting the information and now the backgrounds, the t-shirt, whatever. It's all part of what we're talking about and what I'm demonstrating. None of my social media posts are on accident. I know exactly what I'm doing. When you're in a challenge and you get to a video and now you're going, if you feel something you were supposed to, if you didn't, that means you've already outgrown that situation. And it seems simple. So there's never a 30-day challenge that you participate in and you just, okay, 1 second, Kevin. And you participate in the 30-day challenge and you say, that shit was a cakewalk. Yeah, that one. Hey, what else you got, Doc? Send it to me. You can I done have people get all the way to day 28 be like, oh, that was so hard for me. I know. One of them, because the Army taught me that. You can't get through basic training without crying at least one time. I don't care who was said. They didn't. They lying. They actually did. So number 6 is develop related soft skills. Develop related soft skills is communicate effectively. Communicate effectively. So you have to be able to explain technical concepts. It solidifies your own understanding. So me studying the brain in order to tell you about it helps me to understand the brain more because I have to be able to tell you this amazing how the brain works for you to get it. So it actually helps you to develop those skills and you have to stay disciplined. So technical competence requires consistency, not shortcuts. Today is 577, I think. Yeah, 577 days of being live. That's why I'm pretty cool at it now. All right. So you're going to number 7, set personal standards, aim for mastery, and then you're going to hold yourself personally accountable, double check your work, be detailed oriented, and take pride in your work. Notice I did not say be perfect. Notice I did not say go throw 15 people off their square. Be the best means that you can be the best and other people can be the best too. Now, if we're in competition, then hell yeah, I'm taking you out. That's just how it goes. I'm going to die trying. Okay. Number 8, and this is the final one, learn in context. Learn in context. So understand the why behind the skill. Understand the why behind the skill. Knowing how a task or skill fits into the bigger picture, the mission, the system, or the outcome, depends on your technical thinking. So when I got to Frito-Lay, I needed to know why Frito-Lay was Frito-Lay. If I don't have a why, if I don't understand why, then I'm not sticking around because I don't do anything without a strategy and I don't do anything without a why. Because when you have those two things, unaccountable people cannot talk you out of what you're doing, no matter how hard they try. Now, if the industry changes or you find that you need to pivot and you need to update your strategy, that's a choice. And then you adjust the strategy or you continue on that pathway. You say, okay, that didn't work. Now, what does work, but the why, the main thing still becomes the main thing. So learn in context and understand the why behind the skill. In summary, here is how you become technically competent. Number 1, you build a strong knowledge foundation. Number 2, you get hands-on experience. Number 3, ask questions and seek feedback. Number 4, stay current. Number 5, study mistakes and failures. Number 6, develop related soft skills. Number 7, set personal standards. And number 8, learn in context. So to close out today, what did you learn today? And what did you learn about yourself? What did you learn today? And what did you learn about your amazing self? Okay. Dr. Donna said, I learned that several principles of real leadership are necessary to be technically competent. Noah said, I learned that technical competence is a moving target and you can always become more competent. Yes, ma'am, I agree. And then Dr. Donna said, for myself, I learned that learning about the brain is increasing my technical competence. And that's why I sit through the tedious. Yeah. I also know that the more you know, the harder it is to know more. And so then it becomes extremely technical to get information from folks. I learned that notice that I learned about myself. There is a lot I am technically competent in. Yes, ma'am. Kevin said, I learned that I don't have technical competence to put together a kitchen island. So yesterday I had to call an assembly guy to come put it together. God bless you and Nola. That ain't for me. We will receive those buttons. You was like, you literally was like in progress. Yeah, no. I'm not doing that because it's easier to build to remodel a house than it is to put this new stuff together. It really is. We have carpenters all the time, like, that's IKEA. And they will be putting a roof on the house. Like, I'm not putting that playscape together. No way. Yeah, we do. We got it, but you should go to her. Y'all should go to Nola's Instagram. It's assembled. I think is it. Yeah, add assembled. I think Nola, you can put it on there. But I forgot that if you have Instagram, you could go to her Instagram and see a lot of the things that have been put together. If you go to the highlights, I would just say go to the highlights because then you can see dressers all together, and I think the closets might be on there. It's a dot symbol because somebody already had a symbol. But if you go and then you can see the work there. All right. And then Jessica said, about myself is the reason I stopped trying and gave up when technology got hard and I didn't have the skills to get past the hurdles. Yeah, so you just have to, the one thing about YouTube and TikTok and everything else, there are people who actually will teach you at the non checkmark high mega influencer level. They will actually teach you how to get things done. So you can go to the basic low level. And back when I started using Snapchat and Twitter in 2011 and 2014, I went to people who were that I physically knew and said, hey, I don't get Twitter. What the hell is it? I don't get Snapchat. What is it? So I have no issue with the amount of certifications and everything else I have. If you got the information and I don't have it, I'm asking you for it. All right. Regina said, I learned why people don't become technically competent and how to become technically competent and that this requires time, effort, and discipline. OMG. Yes, ma'am. Everything takes time. That's why I say it's in your daily. When people tell you that it's not the 4-hour work week and all of that, and here's why, if you think about it, it's this. If you don't have the neural pathway, so I did not have the neural pathway to teach people how to use the brain. I did have my 8th grade science project when I did it on the brain, because I only had $5 and cauliflower was cheap back then, and food coloring was already in my aunt's house. Poster boards was like 50 cents. So it worked. And that's the last time. And then in 2014, 16, 17, I said I want to go back to school to get a doctorate in neuroscience because I was fascinated by the brain, but I hadn't studied the brain yet. And so I didn't have this neural pathway this time last year. This time last year, I was just finishing up the yes and no challenge and saying, I don't know if this is going to work. Let's do it for a couple more months, couple more people, and see how it goes. So I didn't have the neural pathway. What I had was, why can't people hold themselves personally accountable? That root cause analysis from Frito-Lay that said, this isn't working, but I know it can work. It's not I'm a superhuman. Something's wrong. And then here comes October. I come out as a nerd. It's been revealed to me that it's neurological. It's not physiological or anything else. And now here I am 577 days later talking about the brain. So that's 577 days. Now I have the neural pathway that's being strengthened every single day. So yeah, it all takes time. It really does. And that's why people find their thing that they created the neural pathway for, and they stick with it. But they don't even advance the thing that has the neural pathway, because strengthening the neural pathway, I'm an effective communicator. I've been doing good in speech, public speaking since I was in the 12th grade of high school. But I got a bunch more certifications since I took speech in college and in high school. So you still can build and strengthen that new neural pathway and keep it current. Jessica said, wait 1 second. I don't know that if I have instructions, I can get a lot done, but it's the discipline to continue on my own. And you have to learn how you learn, Jessica. And that's why I have blogs. That's why I have my book, but that's why I have video. That's why I have graphics. That's why I have audio, because people learn differently. So you can hear you can see me and you can get it. Now, Regina's visual. So if she sees something visually, she's going to learn it. But some people have to hear it. Nola looks at graphics. That's why she could look at an IKEA manual that has no instructions in it and put that thing together, because she can read and see in pictures. So once you know how you learn, that's how you go seek the information out. And that's why I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to go get this neuroscience degree, because it's in 100 level courses. So there are going to be people with master's degrees teaching 100 level courses, and I got a doctorate. And so they're not going to be giving me the information how I need it with the amount of communication certifications I have, as well as the fact that I got a doctorate. So now I'm like, and it's not even, oh, darling, I could never listen, but they're not going to be as polished in their delivery. That's why I'm vacillating back and forth with that. So yes, as soon as you know how you learn, that's how you go and become self-taught. The other thing regarding the neuroscientist certification is that Quentin Tarantino never went to film school. And people used to tell him, you didn't go to film school. You don't know. You didn't go to film school. He said, but I didn't watch so many different movies. And he just watched the movie, came back and experimented, watched the movie and came back and experimented. And so that's why I'm like, if he is the man that he is in film, do I actually need to go? Because the neuroscientists are not going to break it down. So that's why I'm going back and forth. We'll see. I will report out back to you all when I make the final decision. And Regina said, I learned that staying current is important for me, especially since my technology changes every month. Since technology changes every month, I need to have the awareness, even though I don't have the skill set. Yes, Moore's Law is real. If your phone, that's why new phones keep coming out. That's why these televisions, and the new televisions look like holograms. They look like big, giant, doggone fish tanks. And so the stuff is going to come out of the screen at you. Because I was like, what are they going to do? They got 108-inch televisions, and now they're so flat, and now they're framed, and they look like a picture on the wall. I was thinking, how are they going to get people to keep buying televisions? And CES, because they have it here, it's the Consumer Exchange Show. It happens every year in January in Las Vegas, and then in May in China. And that's what they're evolving to. And so before you just go turn the TV on. Now you got to turn the TV on. You got to program the apps. You can talk to it and say, change the channel. And if you don't keep up, you're going to be somewhere else. Kevin said, learned, keep setting and raising your standards. Keep setting and raising your standards. It got sent 3 times for you, Kevin. And her Instagram account, Regina, is a.ssembled. So a.ssembled, and it's assembled. Okay. So what I'd like to say in summary is the most important part of knowledgeable, and we'll get to the rest of them. Well, not tomorrow because it's Wired Wednesday, but throughout the rest of this week and next week, because there's 2 bonuses that we have to go over, is that if you don't know something in this day and age, that's on you. If you don't know how to do something with the amount of access. Now, back in the day, we used to have to drive to the library, Dewey Decimal System, card catalog. Your library might have been small. You might have had to go down to the public library downtown, and you didn't have access to that information. If you didn't go to college, you didn't get to have access to all the different libraries on campus. And I get that. I totally understand that. But in today's 2025, where you can literally be at the grocery store, see somebody, show them the thing, is this the product you want me to bring home, and do all of that? If you are not technically competent and you don't know something, that's 1000% on you. Now, will you have to dig and a needle in a needle stack? Yeah, y'all know how many people's pages, neuroscientists, neurologists, and everything else that I have to scrub. I'm on Chat GPT because I wore out Google, and Google couldn't answer my questions anymore. That's why I'm using Grok and doggone now, because I love the public library, always have. But what happens is electronically, I can go and search in our system and get a book. And if it's not there, they will literally, and everybody has this, is not because I'm in Nevada, they will literally, I can say, I want the book, put it on hold. They will bring it right to my neighborhood library, put it on the shelf when you walk in, and it will be there, and they will notify me on email that I have a week to pick that book up. I can now check out my books, recheck them out without going back to the library and getting them. And then there are ebooks as well. So you can get the ebook. So you literally have the ability, and even when I was at the reference desk asking at the Sahara Library, she said, if the book is in the library system, it can be sent. They can contact other libraries and get the book sent so that you can actually have the book. So there literally is no reason for you not to have the information that you need for you to become your best. And it's not always about having a college course. I mean, Kevin just realized, they are. And sometimes we will look on YouTube for a video to see how to do something. And we know it's hard as hell if it ain't no video for it, because nobody is willing to make a mistake and be like, yeah, the Nordley headboard on the IKEA bed. Once it's time to get that bad boy measured on the wall, ain't a video that exists. Not gonna happen. They will skip over. Okay, so now that part's on. And now that, no, go back. And even on company videos, like, dude, I needed that part. How you put the, and I'm standing there holding it. What the video say? It ain't on there. What the fuck? Now, okay, problem solving. Okay, hold it. But what if you put it in now? But okay, take it back off. Take it back off. Okay, let's rest. All right, put it back up again. Because I mean, we lift up 120-pound garage cabinets, and then it's not on the cleat correctly. It didn't slide over. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay. Put it back down. We operate in the cold and the hot. It's about to be 120 something degrees outside. We was outside the other day. It was 103. Direct sun, still getting it done. So no excuses. Absolutely no excuses. It is going to take time. So what? What else was you doing? What else was you doing? Do you really want it? And I always say, if you quit, you didn't want it bad enough. If you let something stop you, you did not want it bad enough. I'm not letting the fact that I'm not a neuroscientist or a neurologist, I don't know any, stop me from teaching y'all how to learn how to use your brain. It's not there. So I'm the person that got to tell you how to actually use it to create neuropability. Because the other thing is people telling you about the brain, but they're not telling you best. They're not telling you, you do this and you're going to be a bad mofo too. This is how you access best. If you've been, as best has been eluding you, it doesn't have to be that way. It's in your daily, and it's in creating that doggone new neural pathway for you to be your best. And you don't have to wait on anybody else to do it. So if you do not know how to do it, it is 1000% on you. And you can go ahead and make excuses if you want to and act like you didn't hear me live on the replay, but that shit's on you. I didn't know how to read. I had to teach myself how to read. I didn't know shit about the brain. So y'all see it, and you can go back and look. about when I didn't know, oh, damn, that ain't right. Oh, shit, I told y'all the wrong thing. Here you go. This is how this actually works. And I'm going to be a novice until I'm not. And then I'm going to be an expert. And everybody going to be like, oh, I wish I could learn about the brain like you. You want to do this. Don't nobody want to read these books and listen to these damn people because it's tedious as hell. But I'm willing to do it because I want the world to be better. I want adults to know how to hold themselves personally accountable day in and day out. And now that I know it's neurological, there's no turning back. It's only forward for me. So thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for realizing that you matter, you count. Your brain is the most amazing organ in your body, and you want to be able to use this resource, this valuable resource that will lead you to a life that you never ever thought was possible. But you are responsible for your neuroplasticity. You are responsible for your neuropability. No one else in the world is responsible for it but you. You all go off and have a wonderful, terrific Tuesday. I will be back tomorrow, God willing, higher power in the universe. Same time, same place, safe space, different brain t-shirt. Take care.